We're back for another set of Premier League predictions. Yes, I am wearing a pyjama top, and yes, I did manage to get one score correct out of midweek, where there were some quite funny results. The correct one was Arsenal beating Forest 2-1, but you had Luton blowing away Brighton and absolutely dominating that game. You had a 7-goal thriller with Man United beating Wolves, and then, just crazy scorelines. Liverpool beating Chelsea 4-1 even though they draw all of the time. So it was an interesting round. Villa lost, so I obviously enjoyed that. Newcastle doing the double over them, but interesting nonetheless. It'll be good to see how some of those teams bounce back from the adversity they faced in the week, because some of those sides aren't used to losing. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get back to winning ways. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get into the predictions. We start with Everton against Spurs as the lunchtime kickoff on Saturday. Now Everton, not great form, 2 0-0 draws in a row. They haven't won in their last 5, drawing 2 and losing 3. And they've now slipped into the relegation zone, with Luton picking up a bit of form. Interesting to see if they can bounce back in a tough fixture, as Spurs are always a good side for goals. No matter what happens, Spurs always have a lot of goals in their game, whether it's for or against them. It's normally quite shared. Their last 3 games, they've had a 3-1 win, a 2-2 draw, and a 3-2 win against Brentford in the week. Plenty of goals. I'm hoping for more here, but unfortunately for Everton, I think it will go against them. So Spurs to win 3-1. Brighton face Palace next in a big rivalry clash. Brighton, we're going to forget their last game because they lost 4-0 against Luton. I don't know why they weren't at the races on that day, but Luton were brilliant, credit to them. But I do think Brighton just, for whatever reason, didn't show up. I'm expecting them to be better here. Palace won their last game 3-2. Elise with 2 assists and a goal, involved in all 3. Eze with the other 2 goals. Recently, if anything is happening at Palace, it's through Michael Elise. He is involved in the majority of their goals. And if it's not him, you can almost guarantee it's Eze involved. So if they keep those 2 fit, I think they can grab some really good results this season. 4 of the last 5 of this fixture have been draws. The other one was a 1-0 win to Brighton. For this one, I'm going to go for a draw again, 1-1. Burnley face Fulham next. Burnley not doing great, struggling for wins. They are looking like they're slipping towards a pretty bad relegation, considering they won the league last year. They're not really putting up a fight. But that could all change. They did a bit more business than the sides around them in January, so they'll be hoping some of those signings can really come to the fore and just do something for them, because that's all they need. Something to start happening that's positive. Fulham, not highly convinced by them. Their last 5 league games, they haven't scored in 4 of them. So that's the reason I'm going to go for Burnley and something to happen for them. Bit of a shock. I don't even believe it'll happen, but why not? Burnley to win 1-0. Newcastle face Luton next. Newcastle had lost 4 league games on the bounce and then turned up to Villa Park, with Villa not losing a game all season at home, and Newcastle went and won 3-1. So a big shock, a big lift for Newcastle. Not a great day for Villa, but maybe Newcastle can start to turn this poor form around now and start building. I know they've got players out, they've had players out, there's some returning, so maybe that can give them the lift they need to go on a European push. Luton, great form, now they're out of the relegation zone. They won the reverse 1-0. They've won 3 of their last 5 in the league, drawing 1 and losing 1. They've been very, very strong as of late. Are Luton building an actual fight against relegation? Can they survive? I really hope they do for some reason. I think a lot of people like the underdog to overperform, but yeah, I'm hoping Luton can manage it. So interesting to see what happens, and I'm actually going to go for more positivity for Luton. They blew Brighton away last time 4-0, Adebayo scoring a hat-trick. I'm not going to go for something like that. I'll go for plenty of goals. I think both sides are going to be up for it, so I'll go for a 2-2. Sheffield United take on Villa next, and Sheffield United, similar to Burnley, really struggling, but keep an eye on Ben Brereton Diaz. He's had a very good start to life at Sheffield United, scoring in the last 2 games for them, and he's just one of those players. He smashed the Championship with Blackburn. He looks like a striker that's really wanting to prove himself at this level, and I think if anyone's going to snatch points for them, it will be him. Aston Villa, this was the first fixture at home this season that they slipped up in with a draw. Can Sheffield United get something again? Will Villa get a bit of revenge? Well, Villa have only won one of their last 5 league fixtures, which is a bit of a shock considering their great form. But I've got a feeling that they will get revenge here, so Villa to win 2-1. Bournemouth take on Forest next. Bournemouth had lost 2 league games in a row against Spurs and against Liverpool. However, they did get back to point scoring with a 1-1 draw against West Ham, a very good draw to be getting. They're playing Forest, and Forest haven't been in great form recently, losing a couple of games, but only by the odd goal. I think this will be tight, but with Bournemouth being at home, I've just got them edging it 2-1. Chelsea take on Wolves next, and this is a tough one because Chelsea are rather inconsistent, although they have won their last 4 league games at home in a row, so good at home, but you still never know whether to 100% back them. Wolves have been brilliant at home, 8 unbeaten in the league at home, but lost 4-3 to Man United the other night in a brilliant game. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be for them. They probably should have been out of it anyway at half time, but a strong fight back. Unfortunately for them, they lost it with the last kick of the game. Wolves have been in good form anyway. Forgetting their home form, they've just been pretty strong under Gary O'Neill. I've got a feeling the points will be shared, so I'm going to go 1-1. Man United take on West Ham next. Should be a good game. Man United have picked up some good points recently. A 2-2 draw with Spurs and that 4-3 win against Wolves. West Ham unbeaten in 6 in the league. 3 wins to start it off. And most recently, 3 draws. Can they get back to winning ways, West Ham? I've got a feeling they won't lose this one, but I think it's going to be all the points shared in a 2-2 draw. Arsenal take on Liverpool. This is the big one for the weekend. Now Arsenal, they've been in decent form, a couple of wins in a row, but there were a couple of losses before that, and they're not overly convincing. Okay, they got a 5-0 against Palace, where Palace weren't too bad, but they just got stung on the counter. But Arsenal, I'm not fully convinced by them this season. I think, to be honest, they were better last season. Liverpool, still top of the league. They've scored 4 goals in each of their last 3 Premier League games. They scored 5 in the FA Cup against Norwich in between that as well. So they're really in brilliant form. And I wasn't convinced that Liverpool could win the league this season up until the midweek win 4-1 over Chelsea. A game that is always so tight. And Liverpool blew them away. Dominated, constantly putting pressure on. So many attempts and a lot on target. Núñez broke the record for hitting the woodwork the most in one game, which was 4 times. So Liverpool were just dominant, and I've got a feeling, especially considering I've put draws for the last 2 fixtures, I'm going to be decisive. I'm going to go for Liverpool to win 3-2. Brentford take on Man City in our final fixture. Since Ivan Toney has returned, he's scored in each game a 3-2 win against Nottingham Forest and a 3-2 loss against Spurs. So there's plenty of goals flowing for Brentford at the moment. Unfortunately, they can't keep them out, and I think that could be a problem here. Man City have won every game in all competitions since winning the Club World Cup. They've won all 4 of their league fixtures, so they're really getting back into the title race, and it looks like it's going to be them or Liverpool to me. So if they can continue that, I'm sure they are in with a great shout. And unfortunately for Brentford, I don't see them getting anything here, although they have been pretty good in this fixture recently. So I am going to go for Man City to get all 3 points in a 3-1 win. So that's it for my Premier League predictions for this weekend. Make sure to get your predictions down in the comments, like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more Premier League content.